to One Quick Question with Infomedia, your source for answers to your questions about websites, digital marketing, and more. I'm your host, Carrie Rollwagon, and today we are here with Pam Sanderson. Welcome, Pam.
Thank you.
What is your title and what were you doing right before the podcast?
My title is Director of Account Development, and right before the podcast, I was in a client meeting.
You're in many client meetings. Huh?
I
am. Yeah. We have to schedule you out.
That is true.
Pretty early.
Pretty far in advance, yeah.
So, I mean, you have really in-demand advice. Thank you for bringing it to the podcast.
You're very welcome.
Today's question is, what is Google's algorithm update? I've heard this called different things.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's just a big deal that scares people. So, what have they done?
Okay. So last year, back in late May, early June, they pushed a big algorithm update. And the reason this made waves, well, there's a bunch of reasons, but
they push little ones all the time.
They push little ones all the time, but this is the biggest one in about 7 or so years.
Okay.
And Google's not big on like, hey, everybody, here's what we did. Here's everything that it affects. Here's what you can do to work with it. They're not big on doing that. So It takes a little bit of time for the people in the industry who work in the algorithm every day to start disseminating information down. So that's why everybody knew something pretty quickly big had changed, but not everybody knew exactly what those changes were. And then in terms of more recently, they did just push another somewhat larger update in December as well. But all of these things are good changes. They are Google's way of trying to make your search results be better for what you want or you're looking for, but also making sure that people aren't tricking the system to be at the top of Google. So in terms of content, what they've done is they're prioritizing quality over quantity. And so
that's new.
Well,
pretty new.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think they would have said they want quality and quantity.
Correct.
Before.
Yes.
And now not so much.
Correct. Yeah. In the old days, it was quality was important. They wanted at least 2 new pages of content a month, at least. And the more you did that, the better it was. It was all about consistency and posting on a regular basis. Google's really not it's not that doesn't matter at all, but they're not putting the priority on it that they once were. Where the priority is now is the quality of your content. So they would rather one really good, well-written, authoritative blog post, one maybe in a month, than 4 really mediocre, terrible ones. They don't want, I don't see this as much anymore, but where a client, maybe they are a water company and they're talking about the top 10 waterfalls in Alabama or whatever,
it's just so that they have water in there.
Right.
Yeah.
That is not going to do anything for you
like
now.
The waterfall doesn't have anything to do with what you're doing.
Exactly.
It just, you were trying to keyword stuff, basically. Like,
correct.
Find more opportunities to have the same word.
Correct.
So you don't need to do that.
Don't do that. Mm-hmm. That is not helping you. In fact, it's probably hindering you at this point. Avoid that stuff. Mm-hmm. Don't do mediocre posts that just throw in random keywords because that's your industry. Mm-hmm. What Google's looking for with the newest push in December for its content is called EEAT. And that stands for experience.
Eat.
Yeah. Eat with an extra E.
Yeah. It's like electronic eating.
Correct.
Eat.
Electronic eating.
I don't know.
We're going off the rails.
I'm just trying to help everyone remember the acronym.
Well,
because
I will never forget it now.
That's not a great acronym.
It's probably not.
You want it to be like a word. Come on, Google.
Well, it was EAT before December, so it was EAT.
Oh.
And then in December they added the extra E. So they tried for it's almost a year.
All right.
So it stands for experience. So they want to know that you are experienced in the field that you're talking about. So if you have pages of content or a blog post and they're about healthcare, mm-hmm. but you don't have the experience or the credentials to be speaking about healthcare, if you're just a random person blogging about whatever, you're much less
targeted.
Yeah.
Sorry.
If you are, if you're doing that, you are very much less likely to show higher in search results than somebody who actually has a background in healthcare and mm-hmm. has the experience. So they're prioritizing experience and then expertise. So do you have the expertise in this industry? Or do other industry professionals also agree that you have that expertise. So backlinks are other things backlinking to you, trade organizations, news reports, other articles referencing you as the expert in this industry. And that's any industry.
Mm-hmm.
That's even if you're in flooring, are there trade organizations that link to you? Are there other articles that talk about your flooring and your service? What are those backlinks where people are referencing you? So that's important. Next is authoritativeness. So are you an authority on the topic that you're speaking on? Are you speaking in a way that it lends itself to you're talking about what your business really does, what your real services are. You're not just adding fluff content out there. And I will say this, when you are talking about what you really do, when you are talking about what is important to your business, what is important, what sets you apart, you are naturally using keywords that people are searching for. You don't have to you should never keyword stuff, but you don't have to really worry as much about what keywords are here, especially if you're not working in a marketing company. You don't have to stress about it as much because when you're talking about the actual things you do, you're going to naturally use that stuff. So that's good to do anyway. And then the last is trustworthiness. Are you trustworthy? Do you know what you're talking about? Do you have a history of saying things that maybe weren't as trustworthy? Are you plagiarizing? Are you copying from other sources? That can get you very much, penalized in Google. So making sure that you follow those things, EEAT, those are all things that Google's prioritizing now with these new algorithm updates.
I don't understand the difference between the first two E's. Do you?
Oh, well, sure. I can break them down a little bit more. So
experience and expertise, right?
Correct. Yes. So experience is you want to present your content in a way that is direct. The experience for the user is a good experience because it's not just a bunch of fluff. So for instance, if we look at your content, it shouldn't just be a wall of text. It should be diverse content. You should have headers. You should have bullets. You should promote a positive user experience. So that's part of the experience, but also in reading that content, they should learn something. You should answer questions that they may have. You should, if they've searched for a topic, you should be providing the answers to that topic in that blog post. Does that make sense? And then with expertise, it ties into that because if you're writing about something, you need to know what you're talking about. You shouldn't just be saying whatever comes to your mind without anything to back that up.
But really, all of these really work together.
They do. All of them tie together. They're like pieces of a puzzle. They all fit
really
in with
just
each other.
like know what you're talking about
1,000%.
And present it in a way that other people can tell what you're talking about.
And be authoritative in the industry and have the experience in the industry so other people also agree that you know what you're talking about.
So other than backlinks, is there a way to do that? Is that connected to your knowledge box, like what Google, like how did they know if people know what you're talking about? Or is it just time on page, like of your user, or if your users are clicking? Does that make sense?
All of those things tie in. So but when Google's looking at it, they're looking at like over 300 different things. So there's a ton of things that tie in. So yes, actions on the page, how many people are reading the page, your engagement numbers and analytics, what people are actually doing on your page. If people are just going and reading one post and leaving and you don't really have any engagement anywhere else on your site, that's maybe not the best.
Okay.
It's not, obviously you're getting users, but let's diversify.
Yeah.
So yes, all of that ties into it. It's just sometimes if you try to check every box, sometimes you can't check any box. So when you're putting in your content, whether it's service pages or whatever, you just want to make sure that you're talking about what it is you actually do.
Yeah.
You're being detailed and you're not only talking about why you are an expert and are able to talk about this, but you're also encouraging other people to link back to you. So yeah, maybe that is in your Google box on Google. You're doing a little post there that links back to it. If you are doing a podcast like this, you ask, hey, can you link back to my website? Anything you're doing out in the community that it makes sense to link back. Now, you don't want to trade links. You don't want to say, hey, I'll link to your website if you link to mine. That's not, that cancels each other out. But where you can, when you're out in the community or out in the industry and they're linking back to your content, that can help you.
Well, I think this is actually good news for a lot of content creators, small business owners, because I know that a lot of the feedback we got from our clients before was, because we were saying you have to blog consistently and they were just like, I don't have that much to say. And so this is kind of helpful to say like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Pick like a topic you do have a lot to say on, present it well. I do think that's a lot more doable for a lot of people.
1,000% agree.
Yeah.
I think this is, it is good, especially for small business owners. If you don't have a person on staff that can put out 4 or 6 blogs a month, this is good news. You know,
Yeah.
put out one really good, high quality blog. And
Awesome.
that is perfect. Like that would be the goal.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Pam. I feel like you've calmed our minds.
I hope so. You're welcome.
Calmed our fears. I don't know. But
Well,
either way, both. Calming everything. A very
Yay.
calming present.
Aw, thank you.
Thank you. One Quick Question is brought to you by Infomedia. Find show notes, including links to what we talk about on the podcast today at infomedia.com/quickquestion. Our producer is Elena Harmond. Our theme music is by Brad Davis. And our episodes are produced by Paul and Aaron at Infomedia Studios. If you need website support, marketing advice, or you're interested in building a new website, give us a call at 205-823-4440 or email quickquestion@infomedia.com.